All right, welcome to Talk the Talk with Tribe Title. Today we have with us Dominick Comer of Keller Williams Realty Living. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I've been waiting a long time to talk to you. Obviously, you were kind of the mastermind behind getting this whole thing started, so it's kind of come full circle to where now I get to interview you and find out a little bit about what your game plan was behind everything. So you're the operating principal, correct, at the Keller Williams Realty Living?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
And also part owner of Tribe Title.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So how did you get started in real estate? I guess how long ago and how did you get started in real estate?
So I got my start in real estate. Well, I got my start in real estate mentally back when I bought my first house in 2004. Didn't have a real estate license or anything like that, but the story was that when I bought my first house, my first real estate agent, Christy Ambrose, she's still a real estate agent today in Walled Lake. She helped me get my start by planting the seed with me and saying, Dominick, why are you working at Ford on the line when you could be selling real estate with me?
Yeah.
Like, we should start a team together. You'd be really good at this. And I said, oh, gosh, Christy, you're crazy. I could never do a full commission gig like that. I was making decent money, working on the line at Ford, working 70 plus hours a week. So she planted that seed anyhow. And I always thought about it and over the years, and I didn't look like a realtor. I didn't dress like a realtor.
Yeah.
I didn't talk like a realtor. I couldn't write an email.
Right.
I didn't know how I could ever become a realtor.
Yeah.
But I thought about it every year as time went on, as I was trying to think about my life and what I would enjoy doing. And I really did enjoy looking at houses with Christy and buying my first house. And I had a great experience. So fast forward 2012, my wife, then I got married in 2012.
Yeah.
She said she had just graduated from college and she had become a full-time registered nurse. She said she could afford the bills of the house at that time.
Right.
And she said, you know, you're really not happy doing what you're doing. I can tell, working for somebody else. Why don't you, go off and try that real estate thing you've been talking about?
Yeah.
You'd probably be good at it. And so shortly after that, I started going through my classes. 2013 came along and I got licensed, and that was the beginning of it all.
Yeah. Now, did you jump in full time? Did you quit your other job?
Yes, I jumped in completely full time.
That's scary.
Yeah. I mean, it was scary because, yes, my wife, Lauren, could pay the bills, but for how long? Right? With me going to work every day and not getting paid for a long time.
And the resentment and things that kind of brew up with that type of scenario.
Oh, yeah. You've heard the stories, right? I would go home every single day from the office after making 100 to 300 phone calls, cold calls a day.
Right.
And the same question was asked every day that I would walk through the door. Do you remember what that question was?
Yeah. How much money did you make today?
Or anything yet?
Anything
yet. And it started to become really defeating.
Yeah.
Because as much as I was doing at work as a realtor, brand new realtor, making all these calls and all these contacts and actually creating leads for myself, it's a long game to convert those leads into an actual deal, into actual money.
Yeah. And tough when you see like a successful realtor that's been in it for years and you see that you're putting so much more into it than they are, but their results are so much different than yours.
It was so hard every single day.
Yeah.
Because, yes, other realtors in the office, their phones would ring.
Right.
And somebody would say, hey, I'd like to sell my house with you. While I was grinding through, and I wouldn't take any of it back for a second. I learned so much along the way. I got to actually pass up a lot of those agents in my own real estate business over time because of the activities that I did.
Right. Yeah. Once you put those plans in action and you do them and you become good at them, then it's like what they say, like you do something that's uncomfortable, then it becomes comfortable, then you become confident, and then you kind of master it. If you have that groundwork, then there's really not a market that's gonna sway you.
No, I could do this anywhere.
Yeah. Which is
awesome.
A good feeling too.
Yeah. It's a comfortable feeling. It's a secure feeling.
Yeah. Well, now I'm guessing the one of the things that probably wasn't hard for you was the talking to people, because I know you from my wife who grew up with you, and I know that you were always a talker and outgoing, and everybody knew you, so that part was probably relatively easy for you.
You know what? Every day that I come to work, I have to get into character.
Yeah.
I'm not, it's really hard. I'm an introvert at heart.
Yeah.
And I have to play extrovert almost all day, every day.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's exhausting to me. I'm tired at the end of the day
Yeah.
of talking. I don't even want to look at my phone
Right.
if it rings, because I'm done. I'm just done talking. And I don't know if that came over time of making 300 phone calls, in a couple of hours, or when that came about. Because yes, growing up, I had a lot of friends, and just I look back and I wasn't scared to just stop over at a buddy's house, and pop in and see their mom and dad and call them my mom and dad. And now I wouldn't do that.
Isn't that strange how that changes over time? Like, that's how I think about times I'll have somebody call me, somebody that I'm very comfortable talking with, and I'll see that they're calling me, and I can't bring myself to answer the phone because I'm just not in the headspace to talk.
Yeah.
And I think about that, and then I have friends that will just stop over, knock on your door. And I'm like, at what point did you get away from that? It's hard.
Yeah. And I'm envious of those people. Because
sure.
it was a little bit of spontaneity, right? It was a lot of courage, I guess, that is, who knows? I don't know where we left that behind.
Yeah.
Still though, I mean, I do enjoy talking to people. I enjoy coaching my agents. I enjoy, doing good deals and helping clients. I enjoy talking about the future and goals and in those things. So I mean, I guess it all works out.
Yeah. And now, one of the other things you said, too, is in the beginning, you didn't look like a realtor. You didn't talk like a realtor. That's one of the things I enjoy about where I work, is that you've never put that onto people as far as well, you need to, fake it till you make it. You need to wear a suit. You need to do this. And it was always like, hey, anybody can do a job. It's how you do the job. It's not how you look or how you, what kind of person you are. I mean, obviously, good moral character. But aside from that, whatever you're into, you're into. However you look, it doesn't hinder you in being able to do your job.
I'm a firm believer of, if you can do your job well and you present yourself, nice enough.
Right.
I mean, you can do a good job. I can be a better real estate agent than anybody out there that can wear a 3-piece suit and look good in it, but they don't know the business like I know it, right? I can help serve my clients better than somebody who's dressed better than me.
Yeah.
I want to be comfortable in my own skin. I'm not trying to act like I'm somebody that I'm not.
Right.
I said out loud yesterday, I want to be as rich as I can possibly be, and I want nobody around to know it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? It doesn't make any difference in that aspect to me.
Right. Which is, it comes back to a security thing. A lot of people too, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's people that wear 3-piece suits because they enjoy it, and that is who they are. But there's a lot of them that's not who they are, and they wear this kind of armor that makes them feel like, oh, I'm important enough, I'm special, I'm smart, and it's like, at the end of the day, that's not even necessarily who you want doing your transaction, because this person isn't even secure enough to really know who they are or who they're projecting to you.
Right. And I was never comfortable in a suit. I still don't even like to wear blazer or sports coats right now. So I have to, I always want to present myself in a professional manner.
Yeah.
And I think, there are times that I will show up to work the way that I'm dressed today, in a Henley and some jeans.
Right.
And somebody's going to walk in and want an appointment or a meeting with me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting it. So I have to just be who I am and be good at it.
Right.
And in order to, if they want to be a new agent in the office and they're coming to interview me, I always have to be on my game mentally. Mm-hmm. So I think that you're all good as long as you keep working on yourself and you do good.
Yeah.
Right? You do good at your job.
And I know a lot of stuff with you is mindset too, which I realize is a big thing when I go to other offices and I see the agents and I see the people working in there, and I realize they run it very much like a business. Whereas with you guys, and I don't know if this comes from the corporate level or, as an individual, but in our office, it's very mindset driven. It's not just about the transaction. It's about creating your mindset in order to be able to enjoy your life in every aspect of it.
Yeah. I always go back to, it's a BOLD law from the BOLD course, which is from Keller Williams Realty International and MAPS coaching. But I always go back to one of their sayings is be, do, and then have. And it starts with becoming, right? You have to become the type of person to do the things that you want to do, or even do good business the way you want to do it, in order to have the things that you want to have in life. It all starts with mindset. It all starts with yourself. And who was it that I heard? Bob Proctor, possibly years ago. He said, everybody, if somebody says, point to your mind, people point at their head.
Right.
And he said, your head, inside of your head is your brain. It's not your mind, right? Your mind is your whole being.
Yeah.
Like your hand is your hand, but your brain inside of your head, where people think that that's where their mind is, your brain is just he called it an electronic switching station for what you can think of. Like your mind, it's wild. So I'm a firm believer that is where it all starts.
Right.
And if you work on it and grow it like it's a muscle, like an exercise every single day, then your brain starts to switch the next switches and turns them on.
Right.
To be able to help you get to wherever you need to go. You just have to be.
The maps. Like I read this one thing on neural pathways one time, and they were actually doing where they would inject the dyes in and see the neural pathways and what would fire. And they said that somebody that constantly has this negative mindset or says like off the wall stuff or rude comments, very negative, those are neural pathways that have been strengthened because they use them so often. That's that switch that it goes to, like path of least resistance. And they were saying from studying it, you could see that when these people would physically try to switch this and have other thoughts, that over time, these neural pathways would open up and strengthen, and that became more of the default.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Isn't it wild? But if 10 years ago you would have said that to me, I would have been like, this dude's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not actually true. Like,
right.
I think that you have to, along the way, there's just little switches that you have to start one by one switching. And I think that you have to be cognizant that that's how it works.
Right.
That I've probably said it before, even on another podcast. Gary Keller talks about everything that happens in life is an afterthought.
Yeah.
You have to think it first, and then you do it. Even the things that come so natural to you, like rolling out of bed. Right? You'll wake up, your mind's going to say, get out of bed. You're going to get out of bed, right? It's going to say, step one foot in front of the other. Even though you're not thinking about it, those are the neural pathways that you're talking about that are just naturally being switched every day. Now, they can be negative. They can be positive. It could be, you could be so much in a routine that is not helping you.
Yeah.
In helping you to switch on the better way.
Right.
Just because you're stuck.
Yeah. It's cruise control.
It's cruise control.
And that's like I see now with all these people that we're surrounded with, and I see the difference. And it's cool now because I've been there almost 2 years, and I see people that have come in, and I've been able to actually watch them grow, and I can see where their mindset shifted along the way, where when you talk to them, they're a totally different person, but not fake. It's more, I guess, enlightened, and like they've educated themselves, and they realize like, this is where I want to go. This is what I'm capable of. Mm-hmm. And they've surrounded themselves with these like-minded people. And that's one of the reasons why, Keller Williams Real Living right now is the number one broker in Livingston County, correct?
That's correct.
And pretty much all metrics.
In all metrics. Yeah. And we weren't always.
Right.
And, I'm going to say it started before me. Rick, the owner, the guy who owned it before me, he was, somebody who I look up to greatly. He was a strong figure in the office. He was very positive. And he built the foundation of it. I got to jump into the driver's seat and continue to build on that. I feel like that's my job every day, is to help grow the people within the organization, so that they can they can know their job better, and live a better life because of it. Yeah. Right. And you couldn't do that if you were surrounded by a whole bunch of negative Nancys.
Right. Which you'll notice a lot too, now that when you do surround yourself with those people, when you go back into a situation where you're around the people that you would have typically been around, and you can see, I mean, it's so polarizing, because now that you're exposed to the other, when you go back into it, it's like this wall, and you're like, holy cow, man, these people really have a mindset problem that they're completely unaware of.
Yeah. And that they could change too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? We talked about this the other day in the office. It doesn't even matter what age you start at.
Right.
It's your choice. Change is the only thing that you can actually control.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's your choice, and you can do it whenever you want. And you might not even realize it happening in your world until you go back to the old status quo, the old you, maybe even around old friends groups.
Right.
And you see that it's just not the same as it was. And typically that's because you've changed your mindset and they haven't.
Right.
And you might even see it in your, in your success, your level of success, right? That you've grown into a different place in life, and they might not have. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Things you thought were unachievable, now you have them on your radar, and you're like, no, I can absolutely do this. It's going to take time and hard work, but I can get there.
But it takes situations like that in order to look back and be like, all right, I'm on the right track. Right. What I'm doing are the right things. Yeah. And I'm growing, and it feels good. And it feels unfamiliar also. It's kind of scary, right?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, and then how it kind of, I guess, perpetuates is that then you see how it affects other things, like your children. One of those things where you're always like, I'm going to teach my kids hard work. I'm going to teach them this. But that's one of those things where, like, when it clicks and you realize it and you're like, man, this is probably the biggest thing I can teach them in life is their mindset, because you start to see when it goes the other way, and then you correct it and you're like, man, that's 100% going to be the driving force that gets them to where they need to go.
I tell you what, my morning today, I was actually dealing with that with my son, Troy. Yeah. He came down into our little basement gym and started working out with me. I set him up with some really small weights, and just a barbell, just a light barbell curl with 2.5 pounds on each side. Yeah. And he was, wobbling and trying to throw it up and down really fast and arching his back. And I said, slow down, buddy, right? Get your arms all the way straight and bring them up slow, and don't arch your back. And I was telling him these things, and he goes, I'm not good at this, and dropped the weights and wanted to quit. And I was like, I didn't lose it, but I was like, Troy, there is no quit. This isn't even an option for you to quit. I just learn the proper way to do it. Yep. You're not going to always know exactly how it's supposed to be done. Right. But you have to spend a little bit of time learning it. So pick it back up and let's do a clean set of 10.
Yeah. Form is everything in every part of life.
Right. So I also, this morning, was listening to something cool. I shared it with you. And it said, you can't change other people until you change yourself first. Right. And although I've been on this journey of change for so long, and so much of it has happened in the office, some of it has happened at home, but a lot of it has happened at home before the kids are ever even awake. Right. So they don't necessarily see everything that I'm doing to work on myself all day, every day. Mm-hmm. They get to see the little pieces of it. If they wake up early, they get to see me reading. If they wake up early, they get to see me working out. Yeah. They don't see everything else. And how could I expect them to have my mindset without all of the training and the people that I surround myself with and everything that I listen to and everything that I read? I can't. Yeah.
But it's baby steps, just them seeing you doing those things. Like you said, Troy came down this morning, just him seeing you do that pushes him in the direction where he wants to do that instead of, sitting there eating Frosted Flakes. He's like, I'm going to go down and work out with my dad.
Yeah.
Which not a lot of kids do, you know? So just those little tidbits where he starts picking up are going to be those good habits that'll get him far.
Yeah. And I think that goes with anybody who's surrounded by you, right? As you're on this journey, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be coworkers. If they see you doing something good,
right,
and growing along the way, I mean, there are going to be people that try to grab you and pull you back,
right,
or there are going to be people that are that want to change and roll with you, right,
or people that see you're working and they've been there and they're going to try to help you up the hill,
right. When we go to the office, that's what we see all the time, right? We see people come in who are motivated, who are energized, who hit a wall, right? And then they see the person sitting next to them that snags a deal or right starts to grow, and they start to see the activities that they've put in or the hard work that they've put in start to come into fruition. And then it gives them a little bit more hope, right? And then they realize, hey, maybe I should start going to the same classes as this guy over here.
Yeah.
He's doing the things and he's getting it done. Our families are the same way. Our friends are the same way.
Yeah. You can notice, and I have to back myself up sometimes because I'll go see those old people that I would hang around with. Obviously you're still friends with them. It's just you're on different paths.
Yes.
And then I find myself trying to regurgitate everything I've learned in 2 years into a 15-minute, and I'm like, I can't do this. It's too much.
I think my friends got sick. They got tired of me coming around probably because I probably sounded like a preacher because I want the best. I love those people.
Yeah.
They're my friends. And all I want for them is to do great things in their life and be able to, make the change. And I sound like I'm preaching to them, and they're like, get out of here, you crazy person.
Right. They think you're trying to recruit them or something, and
or something's in it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's one of the things too that it even took me a minute because I'm a little bit older, so I've had plenty of jobs and done, get rich quick schemes and multi-level marketing and different sales jobs. And so when I came in, I was a little hesitant, because there was a lot of the hype and this and that. And then it took me a while to where I finally started realizing man, this is sincere. It's real. And I'm seeing real results. I'm seeing real people that came in with, little or the wrong experience and completely changing their business, which is mind blowing to watch.
Yeah. I mean, in such a big way too. I'm not even going to get into the numbers, but it's wild. It's wild for me to see, even though I'm watching the numbers in real time.
Yeah.
And that's success to me.
Yeah.
Is being able to have an environment where people can come in, they could have learned 100 different ways of selling real estate or how to do it or how to build wealth or whatever. And they could come in and watch their business grow in a completely different direction and have more business and also be able to spend more time with their families at the same time. I mean,
which is huge.
That's wild.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I really liked too. You were saying they come in, they learn the experience from this, from people helping them, then they achieve this success. And that's kind of your success, which is like what you said, first you have to do, and that's the do or be. Yeah.
Yep.
And then from you doing that, you're genuinely trying to build these people's businesses. That in turn makes you successful.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this quote 100 times. If you can just help enough other people get what they want, you can have anything in the world that you want.
Right.
And that's my job.
Yeah. Which that's got to be an incredible feeling.
There's nothing better. And I think but we're all doing that.
Right.
This is no different from your job than to my job, to the agent's jobs, to, anybody who deals with the general public.
Right.
I mean, agents are helping clients get what they want. And in turn, it's helping build their life, their confidence, their skills, right? They can have anything in the world they want if they can just help enough other clients get what they want.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything, crazy different.
Right. Yeah. It's just the steps.
I think it's the way that you think about it, though. Some people come to work every day and they say, oh, I gotta sell another house. Other people come and say, you know what, I want to serve another client.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Yeah. I'm the best person to help them.
Right.
Yeah. Which I think is huge too, through the KW brand. It seems like there's so much education and always kind of out front of what's going on. And I think that's a huge service to the clients you're providing it for too. I've had the experience where I've had a realtor that I thought knew what they were doing. And then now I see some of these transactions and I realize like, man, that person did not know what they were doing. Whereas like everybody at KW, it seems like if they actually take the time and get the education, they're well versed to serve their client the best.
It's absolutely true. And not even all KW agents take advantage of it, right?
Right.
That's part of the frustrating part of my life and job, right? I want these people to change their lives. I want to help them change their lives. I want to put Gary Keller at the top, wants to put all of these things out there for us to change our lives,
right,
in, everyone. And when people don't take advantage of that because maybe they don't have the belief, maybe they don't come to the office and surround themselves with other people who are utilizing the tools and the trainings in changing their lives. Maybe they've never, a lot of real estate agents don't come to the office.
Right.
They wake up, they do their day the way that they want to do their day, and it might be the same way that they've done it for years. And there are a lot of them out there that are happy and successful because they're doing exactly what they want to do, and that's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
But there are others that maybe aren't happy, right? They might put on a front, but they're waking up and doing the same thing over and over and over again, and wishing for different results, when the only thing that they need to do is not do the same thing over and over again. Change one thing of that day to growing in some way, shape, or form, and you'll get the different results.
Right. Even 15 minutes a day in, day out. What are you going to pick up?
It goes the other way too.
Yeah.
If you pick up a 15-minute bad habit, you sit on your phone for 15 minutes scrolling more, your life's going to go in the other direction.
Yeah.
So it's every aspect.
Which is hard now too. I mean, you see people on their phones. It blows my mind the amount of time people will waste literally just scrolling through other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a double-sided sword, because I know social media is huge in real estate, obviously. But people outside of real estate, when I see them on their phone, I'm like, you're at your kid's soccer practice and you're scrolling through your phone looking at other people's lives on Facebook, and I'm thinking like, man, you're not even present in the moment watching your kids. And then they look over and they see you, like we talked about those little habits that kids pick up. They look over and you're not even looking at them.
Yeah.
What does that have to do to a kid?
Yeah. No, and I'm guilty of it myself, right? It's so hard. How do we get over this? How do we get back to, the actual conversations?
Yeah.
Who posted? Somebody, probably we both know, posted something as I was scrolling through.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. As I'm sitting here ripping social media.
A restaurant that had a billboard sign up, or a sandwich sign up that said what? What did it say?
No Wi-Fi.
It said no Wi-Fi. Act like it's 1995 and talk to people.
Yeah. I love that.
I did too. And still, in a technology-based world, how do we ever...
Right. And it's one of those things we're all guilty of. You just have to kind of limit it,
Yeah. So one thing that I did, if we're going to go in that direction, is I've audited my social media, my Instagram, a lot of my Facebook, not fully, but I've done a lot of work to audit it and see what kind of content that I'm actually seeing.
Yeah.
Because I really like motivational stuff.
Right.
And if that's what I'm getting, then I don't feel so bad about scrolling through, because I'm learning something, I'm growing something, maybe something that I can share with others.
Absolutely.
Right? That stuff's cool.
Yeah.
Or versus, right? And every time that I see somebody post something that's negative or disturbing or political, I mean, I'm clicking them off of follow. I'm not following that stuff anymore. I don't want to see it. I just want to keep feeding myself.
Right.
And it was on one of the things, I think the thing I sent to you, they talk about that. Like, they call it, no, it wasn't. It was on a different thing this morning. It was, they call it your news feed, and whatever you're taking in is what you're actually feeding yourself. So I decided that I want to feed myself the good stuff.
Right.
And only the good stuff.
Yeah. So it's a tool, you know, it's like any tool. If you use the tool good or the right way, you know, you can build something great. Or if you use it the wrong way, you're going to tear your house down.
Right. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. It's one of those things. So how did you get connected with Rick originally? Because the agent that you met that did your first transaction, was she with KW or was she with a different broker?
She was with a different broker. So it was almost 10 years after I bought my first house, right, that she planted that seed, that I actually got licensed. So I went around and I interviewed all of the different brokerages.
Yeah.
And I came as I was, right? I came in the door. I mean, yes, I threw on some khakis and maybe a polo shirt that I wasn't comfortable wearing at the time. Right. But I was who I was. And I mean, I didn't have any money. My clothes were baggy. I didn't look that professional or buttoned up. And to be honest, most of the real estate companies that I walked into in 2013 didn't want me.
Yeah.
I wasn't your stiff 3-piece suit,
right,
gray hair, right, guy that was extremely professional and very buttoned up. They didn't want me. Yeah. It was wild. I guess not wild. I wasn't surprised. I mean, had enough failures in my life to know that, hey, it's just another bump.
Yeah, chalk it up.
So then I started researching online rather than knocking on doors when I was starting to figure out that what real estate company I really want to be at. And online, I found Keller Williams. And the first thing that I saw when I started looking into this company was that their values were listed front and center, saying God and family and then business. And I thought that was so cool that this a big company that was willing to put that out there front and center to say, these are our values. Yep. In a tough time. I mean, back when, I always say, like, it was back when I remember hearing about an Army general that got fired for having an open Bible on his desk. Right? And they were actually taking the word God out of schools and things like that. It was during that time. So that was really impressive to me that this company, and they could do it because they were privately owned, and they still are. That was what drew me to Keller Williams. And then I started looking into, okay, how can this company help me to be a good real estate agent? I have no experience. Does it have any trainings, things like that? So I started looking into the other things, and I saw these vibrant colors and this bright energy and all of this cool stuff going on that they were doing. And I'm thinking that when I'm going to walk into a Keller office, it's going to be like a Google, right? People are going to be excited. They're going to be happy. It's going to be motivating. That was the company that I was looking for. Right. And I went to the Keller Williams back where I lived in Commerce. And they basically, at the time, they just said, I mean, not all Keller Williams are created equal. You know that now. At the time, they said, hey, we're moving offices and we don't really have any space right now. I mean, I guess if you want to be an agent, you can come here, but I'm really not that easy to work for. So this lady team leader said that. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds promising. Yeah. And that was the one that was closest to my house. And then shortly after, I run into an old friend at the gym. And he said, hey, I heard you got your real estate license. And I go, yeah. And he goes, you need to come talk to my team leader at Keller Williams in Brighton. Yeah. And I said, oh, I've already looked into Keller Williams and really not that interested. Yeah. And it's 30 minutes away, but I would like to move out that way. So sure, I'll come talk to him. Yeah. And I did. And I went in the same way that I went into all of the other ones. I met with the team leader at the time. His name was Tom Kotzian. Yeah. He sat me down. He was exciting. He was sharing a very promising future in real estate for me. Yeah. Planting, seeds with me that I didn't have when I walked in the door. Yeah. And I met Rick, and he was very nice and welcoming with open arms. I mean, these people reminded me, and I tell the story about when I first met my in-laws. Yeah. They didn't look at me at all sideways, even though they had every right to look at me sideways. Right. Neither did Rick or Tom.
Yeah.
They welcomed me in. They were excited to have me. They thought that I would do good things. But it wasn't the bright, shiny, Google space Keller Williams office. It was a very old, dusty, office that didn't have much energy in it at the time. I mean, everybody had been worked through the Great Recession and all of that. They were tired.
Yeah.
They weren't like high-fiving as they walked through the halls. But what stood out was the very next day I got home, or I was at home and I picked up the mail, and I had a handwritten note card from Tom Kotzian saying, "It was really great meeting you yesterday. I look forward to watching your bright future, with Keller Williams, and I hope you choose to join our brokerage." Yeah. And that was it. Even I showed it to my wife, and she goes, "Wow, they must really like you." And I was like, I mean, that's really promising. I got to give it a try. Right. So that's how I started.
That's awesome.
Here. Yeah.
Very
and
cool.
I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to move out here. We wanted to move out here. She was a nurse in Detroit at the time. So I was driving 30 minutes this way. She was driving 30 minutes that way.
How long was it before you actually moved out here?
4 years.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was a lot quicker than that. But Lauren, like I said, she was a nurse. She was working in Detroit, doing well. I mean, she's such a smart nurse and a caring person.
Yeah.
And I was just coming out this way, and we just have Troy. We just had my 9-year-old. And she really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom one day, which was way out of my realm of thinking, right? Like, how the heck are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Like, you're a nurse, you make good money, you have insurance.
Right.
I'm just trying to be a realtor. But that was a goal of hers. And then it really, that was kind of something that just pushed me to turn it on into overdrive and to help that be our first goal that we achieve. Yeah. And I said, after I triple your income, so we can both have X amount of dollars and insurance, then, you should be able to stay at home and be mom. And what was it? It was like a year and a half into my real estate career that she was able to do that.
That's incredible.
And that was just about a year and a half or 2 years before we moved out here.
Yeah, that's awesome. That'd be a great feeling.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Very cool. So you put in the struggle, you did that, you moved, you had a second child not too far after that. Mm-hmm. And now it's kind of, what's your plan moving forward? Obviously, you have the KW in Brighton. You just opened a KW in Howell, which is incredible. I just stepped in there the other day. What's your plans for the future?
It's a great question. As we turn into the new year, and before we got on the mics, we were talking about this, and I was like, "Oh, that's easy. I talk about this every day." And I mean, every year you reevaluate what your life looks like.
Right.
And, the next year, hopefully you can look at what your life looks like in the next 5 years. I'm really excited about growing these companies still. As opportunities come, as I succeed at building these things, I mean, if it's really my job to help change other people's lives, then I want to expand them, and I want to create more opportunities along the way. I'm not going to be the operator of Keller Williams Realty Living for the rest of my life. As soon as there's somebody that is in my world that thinks bigger than me, that has that is stronger than me in the business aspect, they're going to take my seat over, and I'm always going to be a part of it. I might just stay on as coach and a co-owner, but I'm going to let that go at some point. Yeah. I don't see it being this year or next, but probably within the next 5 years, someone else will be running my company, the KW side. Maybe then I'm spending time, expanding Tribe. Right. Investing in real estate, that's always on the list, right? Yeah. We're always looking. We're always talking about it. Right. There's a lot of things, man. I mean, when you realize that you can achieve anything that you really want,
Right.
as long as you don't let, anybody or anything drag you backwards and drag you down. Sky's the limit. And then the next step is being able to dream big enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because most people, like you said, once you start achieving things and you surpass these dreams that you thought were not even possible.
Like my 40th birthday vacation?
Yeah, which was insane. And then, something like that. And then you have to be like, man, how much am I limiting myself? Like, if I could achieve that when I thought that was impossible, like, where is the limit? Or is there a limit?
There isn't one. Nothing's impossible. I won't even let my kids say that at home.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those helping train their minds and their mental attitudes. Nothing's impossible. It's just absolutely wild. And these are things that I wish that I would have learned early on, right? I wish that they taught this in schools. Even as I was growing up, I wasn't a good kid. I didn't get good grades. I didn't stay out of trouble. But the one thing that would stop me in my tracks was when we would be in a high school auditorium or gym, and there would be a motivational speaker that the school would bring in.
Right.
And they would tell you that you can do anything that you put your mind to, and you can achieve greatness, right? And all of this stuff that a lot of people, let go in one ear and out the other, and like, this guy's full of shit.
Right.
I mean, pardon my French, but a lot of people would look at that and say, this is just rah garbage, and it's not actually real. One thing about when I was growing up, I was always called gullible because I believed, somebody would tell me something and I believed it because I thought that they would tell me the truth. And I've always said that when I write a book, I'm going to name it Gullible. It's going to be called Gullible because it's going to be about all of these conversations. And I was gullible enough to believe this random ass person that's standing in the gym auditorium telling us kids that we can be anything that we want to be. And then I would go home and try to, tell my family about it or whatever. And they would knock it down like, it's not actually true. Right. You're going to go to school and you're going to graduate or get a GED. I don't care.
Yeah.
And you're going to go work at Ford.
Yeah. For the rest of your life.
You're right.
And hopefully you can retire someday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how that works too. And it's like when you talk about being gullible but people won't listen to people that have had success for some reason, these people have had success. They don't know what they're talking about, but they'll listen to some idiot that they grew up with, that has a job, as let's say a janitor, which nothing wrong with being a janitor, but they'll take advice from this guy saying like, oh, you can't do that, and that's who they surround themselves with and they believe it. Yet you won't believe this successful person that's telling you can do it.
Well, that's because they think that he got successful or she got successful because they did something shady or they came from a family that handed them everything down, handed everything down to them. I mean, and I can't say that I didn't think the same way when I was growing up because that's what the people around me said. That's how I was programmed.
Yeah. Or they're smarter or better or something, got something you don't have, which 9 times out of 10, if you meet these people, they're like, man, they're just a normal person, just like you and me, That's
one of the greatest things. One of the most eye-opening things that I found at Keller was, one of the instances that I can just hammer down was when we went to a family reunion, our national convention in Las Vegas, and I met one of my closest friends, Joe Delia, on an airplane heading there. Yeah. Right? The guy's in Rochester every single day. But I met him on an airplane. I knew who he was. He says he knew who I was, but I don't think he knew who I was. He knew my team because we had a pretty good sized real estate team. And on this plane, this guy shared a wealth of knowledge to me. I mean, I literally landed and said, this flight has paid for this whole entire trip for me. I could turn around and go back home, and that would be it. I would be happy. But Joe invited me to a party. It was a movement mortgage party. It was, at Paris or something like that. And they rented out the whole place, all for these movement mortgage clients
Yeah.
or real estate agents to use movement mortgage. And I remember going to this party and being surrounded by a lot of the biggest names in real estate who are up on stage, who are multi-millionaires, just looking around everywhere.
Yeah.
And it had a full bar of Top Shelf for free. It had hors d'oeuvres going around for free. The best DJ that I've ever heard in my life, probably cost him $50,000 to have this guy be a DJ there that night. And I remember calling my wife the next morning and saying, I was just like, these people are not much different than I am.
Right.
These are normal people who have done great things. This is who I want to surround myself with. Yeah. This is the kind of life that I want for us.
Right.
And that was my first experience of being around millionaires, because a lot of people on my journey along the way, they were like, you know what, you just got to change your sphere group. You got to spend, if you want to be a millionaire, you got to spend time with millionaires. Right. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to do that?
Right.
I don't know any.
Yeah.
That was my first experience. And that led to relationships that I now have that have helped, along the way, helped my whole world along the way. They've literally changed my life for generations to come because of spending time with people like that.
Right. And then you probably talk to them and have a conversation, realize they came from somewhere similar to you, similar upbringing, similar education. And you're like, man, they're just using different, neurotransponders than you are, but it's the same equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool. But that's why, when I talk to a lot of people and they're like, yeah, I've switched companies, I've done this. How, what real estate company did you start with? And it's been Keller from day one, because this has just been an amazing journey of growth along the way. And I have to credit it to this company and their mindset coaching and everything else.
Yeah.
Like, it's just wild.
No, it's cool. It's full circle. It's not just like, hey, this is how you do business. It's more like, hey, this is how you live a satisfying life.
Yeah.
And we'll give you all the tools to do that.
Right.
Which is incredible. A lot of companies don't care about that. They care about the numbers. That's it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, you're just a number to them.
And there will be people that listen to this podcast that won't buy it.
Right.
And that's okay. Right. Yeah. But I'm just telling everybody out there, it's freaking real.
Right.
And come see it for yourself with your own eyes. You don't even need me to tell you. Go talk to the agents.
Absolutely. So now if somebody is listening and they want to at least find out what's going on, whether they're not, well, I guess I should say this first. If somebody wants to become an agent and they're not an agent, Keller Williams actually has a free real estate school, correct?
Yes. They just launched it last year. They partnered with Kaplan University.
Yeah.
And it's a free to you real estate school, right? No cost to you. So you get your 40 hours, or even if you're in a different state and there's a different amount of hours, if we've been approved to do it in that state, then they can take it there. The way that they would go about doing that is call whichever brokerage is closest to them, get a hold of the team leader and let them know that they would like to sit down and talk about joining in real estate, and we'll get you the link to this free to you real estate school.
And it's incredibly easy. I did it just to see how the process was. I reached out to Aaron. I said, hey, I want to take the free schooling. And it was like, boom, 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 2 emails back. Here's a password. And now I was in.
Yeah.
It was easier than I've signed up for real estate classes in the past online. It was easier than signing up through a site. It literally came back to me right away. And I'm like, okay. So super easy. If somebody is an agent and they want to look at possibly growing their business or changing their lifestyle or their entire sphere, how would they reach out to you?
They can call me on my cell phone. I have it. Oh, it's no secret. I'm in the office just about every day, and they can call me on my cell phone. It's 248-787-9219.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming in. Like I said, I started with you almost a couple of years ago now. It's been life-changing for me, especially the mindset piece, which is something I thought I was always missing. So it's been a heck of a journey.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to see what's next.
For sure. All right,
awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it.
You got it, buddy.